You change your shirt, Mr. Bond. I hope our little game isn't causing you to perspire. We are the Spy-Fi guys, and this is the Global James Bond Day Draft. Welcome to the Spy-Fi guys, where we cover spy facts, spy fiction, and everything in between. I'm Christian.
And I'm Zach.
And today we have a special podcast to celebrate Global James Bond Day, October 5th, the day that Dr. No was released in theaters.
I'm going to be honest with you, I did not know Global James Bond Day was a thing until this year.
Yes, and it also happens to be my wedding anniversary. Not on purpose.
I was about to ask that.
Secretly planned, I'm sure.
Well, apparently the honeymoon was planned around Mission Impossible, so at this point I would believe anything.
I did see the recreation of that video, yeah.
And people who watched our Instagram have also seen that video. Anyways, on this podcast, our guests will be choosing characters from across time and space to create the ultimate James Bond film. Our participants are limited only by their imaginations and one universal rule. Once the character has been picked by a panelist, no one else can choose him or her. At the end, it's your vote which will decide who wins. Throw on your tuxedos and shake or stir those martinis, because this is the Global James Bond Day Draft.
All right.
Woo! All right, so today I will be serving as your moderator. My co-host Zach will be one of the participants, but let's hear from our other participants who you've heard of some of them already. First, we have Carolyn from our Sergeant Stubby and Man from U.N.C.L.E. episodes.
Hello.
Next, we've got our Tom Clancy fanboy and 007 fan, Lance.
Greetings, everybody.
Finally, we have our recurring guest star and mother of kittens, Sarah.
Woo! Hello.
I thought you were going to say returning guest star and radical feminist, Sarah.
I'm rocking the merch today.
Nice, love the shirt.
Looking good.
Thank you.
All right, so thanks all of you for joining us. Now it's time to get started with the draft. For those of you who have watched any of our fantasy drafts on AwesomeCon's virtual cons last year, or listened to drafts on Zach's other podcast, Tuesday Night Gaming, this should sound familiar. This time, our participants' objective is to draft their ultimate James Bond film with the roles of James Bond, Bondwoman, villain, and henchman. Their choices for these roles must be fictional characters from movies and TV. However, their pick may not be betrayed by anyone who has been in a James Bond movie. For example, you could pick George of the Jungle as your James Bond, since Brendan Fraser has not been in any James Bond films yet. You could not, however, pick Voldemort as your villain, as Ralph Fiennes has been M in Skyfall and Spectre. Once a panelist has picked a character, they will briefly explain why their pick is an excellent choice, and the others will again briefly explain all drawbacks with the pick. Once all panelists have drafted, we go back through the line in reverse order, so the last place panelist will be drafted twice in a row. Everyone ready to get started?
That was a great explanation, Christian.
Yes.
Except I realized I just screwed up. I picked actors. I didn't pick characters. So
Fix that really quick.
We're going to play this on the fly.
Yeah, this should be entertaining.
That'd be great.
I fully have faith in you, Lance, that you will be able to pull something out of your hat.
Thank you.
No, Lance, I would just give up if I were you. My team is awesome. I thought of most of them this morning, but I'm feeling pretty darn confident.
I thought of mine about a half hour ago, so we'll see how this goes.
All right.
So I have placed you in a random order, and it will be Sarah, Lance, Carolyn, and then Zach. So,
Yes.
Sarah, you are our first draft pick, so you may start off.
My goal in designing the perfect Bond movie, yes,
Oh, boy.
the perfect Bond movie, is to reimagine the franchise into something more my speed. As our two illustrious hosts, Christian and Zach, know, I am no stranger to the odd feminist rant. On the Austin Powers episode, which seems irrelevant to bring up when discussing Bond, I was angry that the movie mimicked the misogynist behaviors that we see in the Bond movies without sufficiently condemning them. And as Austin himself would say, that's just not my bag, baby. It's okay. You can add in laughter in post. It's fine. So
Just as I was drinking something, Sarah.
So I shall start shaking things up by casting a villain first. A
All right,
villain
interesting.
who
All right.
is obviously a woman.
Okay.
She is fascinating to watch on screen because she has such a style and flair when she kills. She is a genuine threat to our heroes and is not afraid to kill them, which will immediately raise the stakes for any Bond film. No long speeches while Bond gets away here. In addition to her style and aptitude for killing, she has a likability about her, almost a warmth. We know that she is a Cruella de Vil level sociopath, but perhaps because of her dry sense of humor and the subtle warmth behind her eyes, we still oddly root for her anyway. I am so excited to cast Villanelle from Killing Eve as my villain of choice.
Oh, all right. That's a good pick.
So I haven't actually watched that show, but isn't she more like a serial killer?
She's an assassin. She's an assassin for hire.
Yeah.
Okay.
We saw the first season.
Yeah, we started, I think, like the first episode of the second season, and then
Sarah, you definitely got the British down. That show is as British as you can get.
Well, and I think, Sarah, you'll be pleased to know that one of the head producers of the first season, at least, what is her name? Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Did a draft, or at least a script polish on No Time to Die.
I heard that, and I had conflicting feelings about that because she is a hardcore feminist. We love her to bits. And so I had to come to Jesus reconciling feminist moment. What I came to was that the franchise of James Bond might not inherently be misogynist, just the main character is inherently misogynist.
Right. So now we go to Lance. Lance, are you able to pull something out of your ass here?
Absolutely.
Can it beat Villanelle though?
Ooh.
I think villainess would be better. It sounds dangerous and yet sexy at the same time. Actually, and this was actually pretty easy. Once I picked the actor, the character why I chose him was pretty obvious.
All right.
I'm going to stick with the superhero genre a little bit, and I'm going to go with Malcolm Merlyn from CW's Arrow. Played by none other than the man himself, who I happily got a picture from at AwesomeCon.
Nice.
John Barrowman, OBE, as my villain.
That's a good.
Excellent.
That as a good villain, yeah.
With that character from Arrow, he was very suave, very debonair, but also extremely ruthless, to the point to where he didn't even care if what he was doing was screwing with the lives of his own kid. And he was always 2-3 steps ahead of everybody, usually until the season finale. So I think I'm pretty solid with my John Barrowman and Malcolm Merlyn choice.
Yeah, and he's very difficult to kill. He keeps coming back.
Over and over and over again. In multiple shows even.
Oh, yeah. Does he pop up on Legends of Tomorrow? I don't actually remember. I know there's other
He absolutely does. Yeah. He's even in Lego DC Superheroes 3. Or one of those Lego games.
Oh, fun.
So that's a great choice, Lance. It's hard to go wrong with John Barrowman.
And he's also, he's Captain Jack.
Yes. Alrighty, thank you, Lance. Let's go on to Carolyn.
So yes, I came up with my characters about a half hour ago, and I have to say that I did not fact check to make sure that they haven't been in Bond movies. So hopefully I'm good on this, but I guess we'll find out. My strategy was also I wanted to make a movie that I would watch. So I'm going to pick my Bond just because I think it's possibly the most likely to get snapped up. # strategy. So for Bond, I picked somebody that is, he's strong, he's attractive, he's kind of the silent type, but he respects women, which are all characteristics that I think would be perfect in a Bond. But he can also kick butt. So I picked The Witcher from The Witcher.
Yes, Geralt of Rivia. Interesting choice. I started typing Superman because I knew it was going to be one version of Henry Cavill or another.
You don't know. Your
strategy worked out well, Carolyn. Your strategy worked out very well. Damn you.
Yes.
So why did you pick The Witcher and not Napoleon Solo from the movie we watched together?
Or Superman.
That's true. He would have been a more relevant spy character. But, it's a little bit too on the nose. And I just thought that The Witcher would be I could just envision it in my head,
Yeah,
just
I could see that.
You
at
wanted
the
to add some
casino,
non-spy diversity.
sitting non-spy diversity. So yeah, I could just see him sitting at the casino, betting, just the Witcher, just sitting there and grunting. See it now.
Definitely, we have not seen a James Bond with either long hair or being pretty old. So that's different.
I mean,
Well, he
Roger
doesn't
Moore.
look that old though.
That's fair.
Also, wasn't Sean Connery pretty old by the time
No, actually, Connery. Fun
when
fact.
he finished?
Roger Moore older than Connery.
When he
So-
finished?
No, in general.
Oh, okay.
So Roger Moore was older than Connery, and he started later.
A good point.
The things you never think about, really. But yeah. All right, and we go to our last participant right here, Zach. Let's go.
So, guys, when picking a James Bond, it's easy to pick someone who's a James Bond analog. Your Napoleon Solos, your Sterling Archers, your Maxwell Smarts. But I didn't want to do that. And when I started to think, I was like, well, when people think of James Bond, they think of the modern Daniel Craigs, where everything is very serious and there's a lot of explosions and guns. But you know what? This is Global James Bond Day. He's been around longer than that. There was a time when James Bond was silly and he was fun and he didn't take things too seriously.
Roger Moore era.
I picked a man who is good with his fists. He has tons of gadgets. He has a cool car. He has a distinctive costume. All of the ladies love him, even when he's old and or kind of pudgy. He has all sorts of crazy skills, and he knows all sorts of things, and he knows how to get out of easily escapable death traps. I'm talking, of course, about Batman as played by Adam West in 1966.
Yeah, I already had a Adam West typed in once you started going on. Yep.
Oh, I thought you were going for someone else. I'm not going to say who in case I need him later.
That is
I
fair.
had no idea where you were going.
All right, Zach, do you want to say your fun fact? Because if you don't, I will.
This is the last time I will tell it to Christian. Adam West was considered for the role of James Bond in the 1970s.
1969.
Thank you. Because he thought a British person should play it instead. But in my imaginary James Bond movie, he agreed to it.
All right. And even more fun fact, before his passing a few years ago, he appeared at AwesomeCon, which is a local DC area con, and I actually asked him if this story was true, because it was an internet rumor for a long time. He said it was true, and I also got him to give his best James Bond line reading.
Oh, really?
I have a recording of it somewhere, but yeah, maybe we'll post it on Instagram later.
Does
Sounds
that mean
great.
that Bond would get a lot more catchphrases? I don't know. Holy
Little
smoking
Biff
gun.
Empal.
Yeah.
You know what? I like the choice, although how will Batman's no killing rule go with a license to kill?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Christian, because I knew someone was going to ask. Now, I imagine this is in the future. It's sort of like the Dark Knight Returns of Batman 66, where Robin is gone, Batgirl is gone, Batman's older, he's more jaded, and he starts using a gun again, like in the old serials in the 1940s when Batman used a gun. And also, the reason why it's important that it's the Adam West Batman is because, unlike all the other ones, he's a fully deputized agent of the law. Unlike the rest of them that are a bunch of vigilantes.
All right. Good choice. Good choice. All right,
legit.
Zach, you're up again.
Okay, so to go up against him, we have an American James Bond, which isn't perfect. So I figured we needed someone who at least spoke with a British accent for their villain. Now, with all due respect to Sarah, her villain is fine, but he's thinking a little small. Okay? James Bond villains are big. Okay? They have big goals, they have big ambitions. They don't just kill one or two people, they want to take over the world. And for my villain, the world is not enough. He tries to conquer whole galaxies and timelines. So I am going to draft the Master from the classic Doctor Who series, as played by Roger Delgado.
Okay. I was going to ask which version. So the classic with the beard and the giant collar and all of that.
That's right. That's my guy.
And
All right.
So that seems like a really good choice, but the problem with that is that the counter to the Master, like they always get away. They're in perpetual fightingness, which is fine. But if you want a movie with real stakes, then you pick a villain who actually kills people, which is Villanelle.
Well, the Master
John
kills plenty of
Barrowman.
people, just not our hero.
Yeah.
And if he does, it doesn't last.
I mean, that's what
I guess-
regenerations are for.
Mhm.
No spoilers,
This
I
way,
guess,
Sarah.
for killing Eve.
I mean, that's okay. I mean, because obviously most people aren't going to know who he is. No one's going to pick him in the poll. So yeah, perfect choice, Zach. Perfect choice, Zach.
Ouch.
Oh,
Ouch.
harsh.
Alrighty. Carolyn, you're up next.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to think that which ones are Sarah the most likely to pick. Can't
I'm
really
most likely
tell.
to pick
Can't really
your
tell.
worst one. That's the one I'm going
Yeah.
to pick. Your worst
Of course,
option.
of
That's what I'm
course.
going for.
I guess I'll do henchman next.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm nervous.
So in my bond, the henchman has to be helpful and wanting to please, but I also need him to be a little bit breaking the ice, making things not so serious, and just kind of being fun to watch. So I am picking Olaf
Oh,
from
do it.
Frozen.
Oh,
Frozen.
what? Oh, wow. I did not see that coming.
Ah,
Wild
excellent.
card.
Wow, did not see that coming. Yeah, no,
No.
Christian. Okay, hold on. I have to now rethink everything that just happened.
Wild card has been played.
Wow. All right. Olaf as a henchman. I would love to see that.
I
'cause it would
need to
be-
know who your villain is, like right now. That
Oh.
I'm so excited for your movie. But obviously mine's better because
Mhm.
that's how this works.
I mean, clearly not, but yes. I'm pretty excited about it. I think he would be the perfect sidekick henchman to
All right. With that sharp left turn, let's go over to Lance.
This would probably
Great
be a
choice, no
disservice to
problem.
me to say this, but I could actually see that in a Harvey Villechaize Man with a Golden Gun kind of way.
Yeah. See
I
that.
mean, my choice will ultimately be better.
I mean, I would
But,
literally watch Olaf like do anything. Like he could just
Yeah,
roll
yeah.
around, and I would be like, I'm
Yeah, they
down
have
for
those.
that.
They have those Olaf shorts that Josh Gad was making during the pandemic with like one of the animators, and they were all like 30 seconds of him just like doing whatever, and they were great.
Yeah.
So him in a whole Bond movie. Well,
I mean, I probably would.
I can't even
totally,
imagine.
I probably would totally lose my shit seeing Olaf with a switchblade and brass knuckles.
That's one way to look at it.
I mean, that's just amazing.
That's great.
He can
Well, I
use
am-
his like snowballs as like freeze powers.
Oh
So,
yeah.
He's not
Punch
like
people.
you wouldn't make him evil though, right? Because if you make him straight up evil, then I'm no longer on board.
No, of course not. No, this is a movie I would want to watch. So clearly he would
Right.
be like
Great.
secretly, trying to help a little bit. So misguided.
All right, Lance.
So yes, that's my choice.
What do you got?
Well, I am definitely not picking henchmen at this point in time. I think I'm going to go ahead and pick my Bond at this point. And this actually was a little bit difficult because I could now think of several characters, all of whom I think would be good. But I think I would definitely do my fanboy status a disservice if I did not pick Jack Ryan as my Bond, as played by John Krasinski
Ooh.
in the Jack Ryan series.
The
All
new
right.
one.
All kinds of reasons. I mean, one, there's this sort of spy, CIA, MI6, kind of thing going on. He's definitely suave, debonair, good looking, very intelligent, not afraid to fight, as we saw in the Amazon Prime series. I mean, let's just go ahead and call it now. Jack Ryan is James Bond.
All right. All right. Interesting choice.
I am going to have to disagree with you here, Lance. There's a lot there, but the thing is, and I'm sure Sarah would agree, that the philandering and the misogyny is a key part of the James Bond character.
So many feelings right now.
Oh, God.
He's a happily married man with 2 kids.
Not in the
doesn't wanna
Amazon
leave
series.
Well, the
Yeah,
Amazon
not in the
series,
Amazon
Not the Amazon series. And
that's a
in fact,
prequel.
in fact, Kathy Ryan's not even in the second season. She's never mentioned.
Why? I'm still a little annoyed about that. That's why I haven't finished season 2 yet.
I'm
But-
sad he didn't make it work with the epidemiologist.
That was her. That's
From the
Kathy
first-
Ryan.
Yeah.
Or Kathy Mueller? Mueller?
That was her.
Mueller. Yeah.
So
No wonder. It was meant to be.
really liked season 1
Mhm.
of
Oh,
Jack Ryan, but the fact that I didn't really love season 2 means that I won't just watch him in anything. There has to be more to it than that, which is why my movie is going to be better.
In conclusion.
I see.
All right.
Also, Zach, no, Sarah does not agree
Okay.
that Bond in the in
Doesn't
my
have to be
particular
part of his character.
retelling of
Exactly.
Bond, this will not be the case. This has been the case, which is why I have a huge problem with the franchise Happy James Bond Day.
So glad to have you on, Sarah.
All right. Well, Sarah, why don't you tell us who your next pick is?
Oh, is it me?
Yep, it's back to you.
Yeah. Oh, that's what fun. Okay. So I will next be filling the all-important role of Bond. Who
Ooh.
could possibly be an equally badass woman to Villanelle? Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Spoiler alert, for Bond, I'm obviously picking a woman. A woman with an equal amount of style, sass, quippy one-liners, who also has a very particular set of skills. She lies and kills, but is driven by ethics and does so for moral reasons. Nothing phases her because bad things happen every day. You know, she's Russian, or she was. I'm so excited to watch Villanelle face off against Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Pause for applause.
All right. I
That'd be
mean,
cool. I would watch that.
Right?
mhm.
The rest of
Yeah.
the movie
Russian
is
versus
set up. Villanelle Black Widow would be so amazing. I would watch that in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
Just as long as the ending isn't her jumping off of an exploding space station or something like that.
I mean, that is straight out
There
of
was
James
choice.
Bond. It really is.
I mean, that's very James Bond.
Just as long as she doesn't defeat the villain by smashing her face into a desk again.
Wait, where did she do that?
In the Black Widow movie.
I need to
Sarah,
see
have
that
you
again.
seen the Black Widow movie?
I have not actually
Okay,
seen the
all
Black
right.
Widow movie.
Oh.
That's okay.
minor spoiler.
That's okay. I'm also trying to avoid spoiling Killing Eve season 2.
All right. Oh wait, how many
yeah.
seasons of Killing Eve are there? Is it 3
There
or
are
is it
now
just
3.
Okay.
I haven't seen the third one because it wasn't available on a service that I
2?
subscribed
Yes.
to.
That age-old story. Also, why you
so
haven't
I-
seen Black
yeah.
Widow, probably.
Yes, my movie, amazing. Going
Okay,
to be.
well, tell us how
amazing.
much more amazing your movie will be with your next pick.
Oh, I get to go again?
You again.
God damn. This is
Top of the order.
Okay. So, Bond Girl. I'm doing Bond Girl next. For too long, Bond girls have been girls. For too long, have women been placed in Bond movies as sex objects, eroticized for the male gaze. Even calling them Bond girls is somewhat infantilizing. I believe it was Judi Dench's M who called Bond a, quote, sexist, misogynist dinosaur in Goldeneye. I will note as an aside that it was a female character who's calling out Bond for his behaviors, so just because we have a misogynist character doesn't mean that we have a purely misogynist film, as we discussed a couple minutes ago. There is really no smooth transition out of that side note, so right, Bond girl.
Okay.
My Bond girl is not a girl at all. I'd like to think of him more as a Doctor Who-style companion or sidekick rather than a love interest. Some might consider him handsome, but that is not his defining characteristic. He seems pretty asexual, which means Villanelle's feminine wiles would not work on him. He is, after all, a cartoon. Like our Bond, he's done some troubling things in the past. Or shall I say, has done some things for some troubling people. He's a bit of a bumbling fool, but when he's on screen, he steals the show. He is kind, has a strong moral compass, and speaks squirrel. What makes me the most excited about this Bond girl is that he will act as a very interesting number 2. I can imagine him in the midst of a fight, Villanelle throwing a knife, and he gets stabbed in the chest, red goo gushing out, and then it turns out, oh, it's a cherry pie, and he leans down, bullets whizzing overhead, just missing him, to take out a new cake out of the oven. We love to love him, Kronk from Emperor's New Groove.
Oh no, the Spanish puffs. Oh god! As soon as you said scrolling, oh nope, it's Kronk. It's definitely Kronk.
Carolyn, when you were describing Olaf, I was convinced that it was going to be Kronk. I was so worried.
Yes.
And
It
Christian was
That would have
channeling.
been an amazing one.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Amazing choice. Stoked. Villanelle.
Almost as good as Olaf.
Well, Kronk, I don't have him as a henchman. I have him as my Bond girl.
Oh, that's true.
Black Widow as Bond. Kronk as her sort of sidekick number 2 against Villanelle. Amazing. Would watch 5 stars.
I thought you were going to say Inspector Gadget.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I should have figured that a Disney character would show up from Sarah sooner or later.
It had
I'm
to
just
happen.
surprised it wasn't one from Once Upon a Time.
That's an excellent choice.
So much restraint. So much restraint.
All right, Lance, you're back up again.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue the trend of following Sarah's choices. It's funny you mention Once Upon a Time because I was seriously considering a character from that show. As
Oh my God. Who? I need to know. We need to stop and talk about it right now. Way more important than whatever we're doing.
I'll go ahead and say this is my runner-up. This isn't my actual choice.
Okay.
So my runner-up choice would have been the evil queen herself, Lana Parrilla, as the Bond girl or Bond woman, or Bond woman, which I think would be better because I think her character would be interesting because is she on the good guy side or is she on the bad guy side? She flows in between, ridiculously attractive. Lana Parrilla is an amazing actress. And I think she could tackle any role, but so that just means that my actual choice is even that much better.
Is it though?
It is, and I think actually, sir, you would even like my choice.
All right.
And my choice is Lagertha from the series Vikings, as played by Catherine Winnick.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Wait, is that the I forget her name in the show, so it must be the only good female character in the show.
There's a couple good ones.
Wait, no, Freya is the one I'm thinking of. No, who did you pick?
I picked Lagertha.
No, she's not Freya. Terrible choice.
No.
I'm
She's an
Googling.
excellent choice.
Justify your choice, man.
I mean, that's easy. One, she's a shield maiden. She's very badass. She knows how to fight. She knows how to plot. She knows how to play the political side. She goes from being, a farmer's wife to shield maiden to actually running her region. Men were like, no, marry me, and I'll make you a queen. And she's like, bitch, I already am a queen.
Whoa.
And so she could even
She looks pretty badass. I just Googled her.
Yeah, thank you. So I mean, she would not be Bond's sidekick. She would be Bond's equal. And even in the show, she's bisexual, so she could even flirt and have a romantic interest with Sarah's choice for Bond. So very diverse.
Interesting. All right. I've not seen Vikings, but she is in, or that same actress was in a Netflix show I watched, Wu Assassins, and she was very, very good in that. Yes.
So, Lance, how is a Viking existing in the James Bond world?
Okay, you're not questioning this over a cartoon character, but you're questioning a Viking.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Sarah, same
Olaf
question
is
to you.
legit.
Also, same question to Carolyn.
I didn't specify which cartoon
Fucking
character.
snowman?
I gave a very specific and colorful example of how Kronk can exist in this universe. I drew it out for you, if you will not mind the pun.
Unintended.
No, Kronk is a perfect choice. I stand by
Right,
it.
I support.
Okay. Okay.
It-
All right.
It's a different
So.
choice if you want to come in second. It really is.
All right. We're back over to Carolyn.
Ooh, it's my turn again. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna do my Bond woman. To recap that my henchman is Olaf from Frozen, and my Bond is the Witcher, Geralt of Rivia, who he's more of the silent type. I imagine that in the film there'll be a lot of shots of him like glaring and glancing at things, a lot of smoldering shots happening. So we need someone to carry a little bit more conversation in the scenes, and also somebody who would be the intelligence to his kind of like strength. So I'm going to pick Hermione Granger from
Nice.
Harry Potter.
Interesting. Interesting.
Excellent.
So I
Excellent
think
choice.
the banter between them would be really good, and she would keep him on his toes and make sure he's doing the right thing and kind of push him when he's kind of morally not sure what to do. I think she would help him be his best Bond, and she would also take part in some of the action, and they would just kick butt on screen together and save the day.
I see why you were worried about me picking your choices. Obviously, support Olaf. I do support Hermione Granger in a Bond film. I considered when I was sort of running down the list of like powerful, strong women, Hermione obviously came to the fore.
Mhm.
But your casting of The Witcher as Bond
I think that makes a difference. It's a good
it's
opposite.
just not as good as my movie. So
Is it? Oh, is it?
so I love Hermione, love Olaf, but like
Yeah, there's a bit of an age gap between Hermione and Geralt of Rivia.
Well, so as we
There is
discussed,
an age difference between most Bonds and the Bond
yeah.
woman.
Also,
Very
how
true.
old is The Witcher? Isn't he like 300 years old or something
Mhm.
like that? So like anybody is too young for him.
And he still looks
Um,
amazing.
Yeah, he looks great. Also, we established that The Witcher respects women, so if there was any love blossoming between them, it would be, slow and it would be earned.
are you envisioning a romance there, or is it more
I'm
the
I'm
style
saying
of a Doctor Who companion? I will have a very different opinion of your film depending on your
Well, Carolyn, it's more than just
I
Sarah in
don't-
the audience, so don't be persuaded by her necessarily.
It's true.
So, I mean, should
Sarah
I
will be voting.
spoil the plot of my movie? So what I'm kind of thinking is that so they start off as well, I mean, they're equals, clear obviously, and they go on all these journeys and go through a lot of things, and they become really close, and they're like, do we have feelings for each other? You're pretty great, you're pretty great. And then they realize that they're better just as friends. But
You just don't see The Witcher getting involved with her though.
it turns out to be just a mutual respect between them, that they strongly appreciate each other, and they become a really close team, kind of like the Avengers, that show. I don't remember what their actual names were.
Characters are the actors.
The characters.
Or
Emma
like in
Peel
a
and John Steed, yes.
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
in a
'cause,
Brandon Sanderson book where they can have that kind of mutual respect. Hashtag not sponsored by Brandon Sanderson. Hashtag please sponsor us.
yeah, definitely that. But the reason I
Hmm.
thought of the Avengers is because, sometimes there's some, they play with romance a little bit, but she's married and she respects her marriage. So there is no romance between them. So it's in the end, it's just a deep mutual respect where they just really appreciate each other as people.
So, guys, I have a question, and I'm apologize if this is outside the scope of what we're doing here.
Oh,
But
boy.
since we're here, and since you're here, why is James Bond hooking up with the Bond girl like not woke or like not feminist? Why does it have to be like a
It's the way
partnership?
that it happens.
Good question. Good question.
Thank you.
Good question. In my opinion, the very short answer is that the Bond girl is placed in the film as a sex object for the sole purpose of James Bond to hook up with.
Mhm.
Is the short answer. So she is not there as a three-dimensional being a fully fledged character. She's a hookup object.
So if she were a three-dimensional character that he still hooks up with, it still wouldn't be great because it's obvious to everyone why she's there.
I mean, I'd have to see it.
I can see them doing it well, but
I mean, they did it well in Casino Royale, I think.
Yeah, I was going
They
to say,
did
I feel
very
like some
well.
of the recent ones, they do a better job of that. But
They
we still
do.
see them as
Absolutely.
Bond girls.
They do it better. I don't think the recent ones solve the issue. I remember there was a hullabaloo in the press about they cast like a slightly older Bond girl and like, isn't that so progressive? But I kind of remember in the movie, she was only in it for like 0.2 seconds and
That's right.
she ends up hooking up with like a younger Bond girl anyway. So valiant attempt, but
But not so much, yeah.
Bond Girl was also very intricate to the plot of not only that movie, but the upcoming movie as well. And she had a significant impact on, sorry to anybody that hasn't seen Spectre yet. I'm sorry you've lived in a cave for the last 4 years.
6 years?
6, yeah, I think you're right.
God, now I feel old.
Oh,
Right.
tell me about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they were definitely a lot more involved. And I'm trying to remember, I guess Bond did hook up with somebody in Quantum of Solace, who is also there for like 5 minutes.
Yes.
I'm interested to see what Phoebe Waller-Bridge does.
And we will
shall
find out,
see.
4 days from when this recording is released. Fingers crossed. I'll look very silly if it gets delayed again and we release this podcast.
All right, but for now, shall we
Could
move
happen.
on? Yeah.
Yes, so we're on to
Zach. We're up to Zach.
Zach, yeah, that's right.
All right, so as you guys may have determined, I am doing a theme, which is the 70s. So I decided to limit myself to people in the 70s. They could all be potentially in the same movie at the same time. So for my
Point of
henchmen,
contention, Adam West was in the 60s.
yeah, but Adam West would have been around in the 70s and
All right,
capable
all right,
of being
all
James
right,
Bond
all right,
in the
okay.
70s. And also, theoretically, the same character could have been like Batman because he just could have been a little bit older.
Okay, all right.
So anyway, for my henchmen, I was like, well, we want someone with a British accent. And you know who was making really good action movies in a British colony in the 1970s is Hong Kong karate movies. So I chose a character from a really good Hong Kong action movie called The Legend of Drunken Master, starring Jackie Chan. And at the end, he fights a henchman whose name is John. I know it's a very boring name, played by Ken Lo, and they have like a 7 to 8 minute fight where they just really beat the crap out of each other. And it's awesome. And if you guys haven't seen the movie, I would highly recommend it if you like kung fu movies.
John? From
John.
Ken Lo from...
Yes.
I'm going to give you another point of contention.
Yeah.
Drunken Master came out in 1994.
Well, the original one came out in the 1970s.
I see. Okay. Drunken Master,
So,
excuse me.
So I admit it's a
Touche.
bit of a stretch, but John wears a suit and he works for the villain and he's a really good fighter and he would easily beat the shit out of Batman very easily. And that is why I choose him for my henchman.
So the movie would be over in 2 seconds.
Well, he would have to come up with some kind of trick rather than just fighting him with his fists. It's kind of like Jaws.
Honest, in the theme of the cartoon characters for henchmen, and you started down that path, I thought he was going to say Hong Kong Phooey.
Excuse me, my James Bond movie is very serious.
Oh, Hong Kong Phooey. Who else remembers Hong Kong Phooey?
Obviously, only those of us probably born in
Apparently
the
just us
70s.
two and me, who watched a lot of Cartoon Network as a kid.
Personally, I think Hong Kong Phooey would have been a better choice. But then again,
I will keep that in mind.
Towards you losing, so.
And the last thing I wanted to say about John is that although he speaks Chinese with subtitles in the movie, we'll imagine for this movie that he speaks English with a British accent because he's from Hong Kong.
Okay, all right.
I don't know that movie, but I'm going to go ahead and say I don't care for it.
I'm with Sarah on that one.
All right, Zach, this is your last choice. You have Bond woman left.
So for my Bond girl, I am picking someone who is from a movie from the 1970s this time. She's described on the poster as, quote, the meanest chick in town, and is described by one character in her movie as, quote, a whole lot of woman. I am choosing Foxy Brown from the movie of the same name, as played by Pam Grier.
All right. That's a pretty good choice. I like that.
So we'll listen to a little bit of her backstory. She seeks revenge when her government agent boyfriend is murdered by members of a drug syndicate at her doorstep. And in the process, she disguises herself and she gets into fights. It's much more intense than anything Batman does. So she's kind of more like the hardcore side of things and teaches him a thing or two about the way things really are. But I think that they would work well together. And yes, I know Sarah's not going to like this, but at the end of my movie, they do make out in a raft because that's what James Bond does, especially in
Strictly
the
a raft.
1970s.
Yeah.
It's very 1970s. I don't think I would like your movie.
That's fine. There's room
not
for
for me.
different James Bond to
It's
exist
not for me.
on this, the day of Global James Bond Day.
Foxy Brown would probably fit right in with Live and Let Die, because Live and Let Die was basically a blaxploitation film.
Well, her name is Foxy. How
Slightly.
can I not pick her?
Pretty easy, actually.
Yeah.
All right, so that is Zach's entire pick of James Bond, Bondwoman, villain, and henchman. Now back to Carolyn with her last pick of villain. Oh
Hope
boy.
you're all ready. So my movie so far is we've got The Witcher in the dashing Bond role. We've got Hermione as the Bond woman who helps him take down the villain. And we know who the henchman is, Olaf from Frozen. So we just have to find out who the villain is. So with my villain, I decided that I didn't want your average Bond film where it's, some gun-toting guy that, their shootouts and all those things that you might typically see on a Bond movie. And then this is also a Bond movie that is for me. So I'm going to go in a different direction, and this kind of makes the Bond movie a little more family friendly too, I think, with a little bit of magic or maybe perceived magic. So I'm going to go with Winifred from Hocus Pocus.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes. Excellent
Excellent
choice.
choice. Excellent
Yes.
choice.
So she would be trying to take down Bond. Well, she would be trying to, find the secret of eternal youth or whatever by breaking into a secret government building, and Bond would be there to stop her. She would be pleasantly annoyed with her sidekick, Olaf, who was just trying to help.
Oh man,
Um,
that chemistry I can just see.
So I think the dynamics between them would be really good. And I think that between Hermione and The Witcher, they could really figure out how to take him down. And then it would be The Witcher versus a witch. So that dynamic would be perfect as well.
I do appreciate the idea of Winifred and Olaf having like a Lex Luthor and Otis kind of dynamic.
or very much a what is that? Man with the Golden Gun, Scaramanga, and what's the Knick-Knack, right?
Knick-knack.
Yeah, they have that sort of relationship as well. I can see that.
I do love Hocus Pocus. I love all your picks individually, but I don't see, like, I don't have the vision of the complete cohesive unit. Winifred, Hocus Pocus, excellent villain. I don't see her with Olaf, but
What?
I love Olaf. I love Hermione, Obvi, but I just
So
love
the
your
whole
picks individually. I just don't see
the
it as
whole
a
thing
cohesive
in the
unit.
movie Hocus Pocus is that she's got her two sisters that are kind of irritating to her. So it would be a little bit similar dynamic with Olaf, where
Fair point.
he
Fair.
would
Okay.
he would be
Yep.
delegating things to him, and he would be trying to complete them, but he'd never be really good enough for her. So that's why at the end of my Bond movie, Olaf switches sides and he becomes Hermione's new friend. And
All right, you have sold me. That sounds good.
yeah.
All right.
Still don't love The Witcher as Bond, but everything else, fully
You
on
had to
board
get
for.
Henry Cavill in there somehow.
I mean, fair.
You don't see him as Bond? I mean, come on.
Definitely seeing Henry Cable as Bond. In fact, I had to cross him out after you
Yeah.
picked
Yes, yes,
Witcher.
Snagged
I
him.
mean, I didn't make any rules about the same actors not being. I think I told Sarah that
Yeah.
if she wanted to, she could have a cast that was just Jennifer Morrison in different roles.
That'd be
It's
great.
your movie. You can do whatever you want.
That's right.
We're back to Lance. Give us your last pick for Henchman.
Before I give my last pick, I have to say that I would definitely go see Sarah's movie, I would definitely go see Carolyn's movie. Zach, I'd probably pick up your movie at the 99-cent bin at Walmart.
That's the way most of us watch James Bond movies.
Oh, ouch.
And even then, it was if I had 99 cents that I had to spend on something. And because we're friends, I would support your movie in that manner.
Like a lot of movies, my genius is not recognized at its time, but will become recognized later.
I'll give you that.
But we'll play this podcast in 10 years' time and see how it goes.
We will. For my final pick of Henchman, the piece de resistance, as it were, I had to come up with somebody that was both menacing, definitely in shape, somebody that you would be terrified if you came across, but also somebody that would be a good fit with Malcolm Merlyn. And while earlier I was going to chastise Sarah for appealing to the Marvel crowd with the Black Widow, I realized that I'd also eventually be making fun of myself because I'm about to do the same thing.
Oh.
And I am going with Killmonger by Michael B. Jordan from Black Panther as my henchman.
Ooh.
What was your henchman? Who was your villain?
Malcolm Merlyn by John.
Oh, that's right.
Played by John Barrowman. Because I can already picture it of him, standing behind Malcolm Merlyn, looking all menacing with his arms crossed, shirt off, so you could see all the marks.
Like where this is going.
I feel like that'd be too much of a power struggle, though. Like, wouldn't Killmonger want to?
I definitely feel like he would just end up killing Malcolm Merlyn and then taking over as the main villain.
That could be the twist.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
No, I would dig that.
There is your twist and the plot of the next Bond movie.
Okay, interesting. All right. I like that choice. I do. Yeah, Killmonger would be a interesting henchman / villain. Yeah.
And how dare you accuse me of appealing to the Marvel crowd? I will have it on record that I cosplayed as Black Widow like 10 years ago. So,
she's an original fan.
8 years ago.
That was not 10 years.
There is no bandwagoner.
Almost. Wow, that was a long time ago.
I didn't actually do the math, but it was a goodly number of years ago.
It was like 6 years ago. Wow. Oh,
we're just old.
8? Wow. All right. On that note of our impending mortality, Sarah, what's your last pick for henchman?
As a refresher, I have cast Black Widow as my Bond, Kronk as her number 2, and Villanelle as my villain. Villanelle does not suffer fools, so it's hard to think of someone that she wouldn't just straight up kill. So who does Villanelle need? She does not need someone to fight alongside her. She needs someone who is passionate, dedicated, and organized. She needs someone to take care of business. She needs Leslie Knope from Parks and Rec.
I think Sarah may have stumbled in the final lap of this race with that one.
No, that is fucking gold. Think about it. Villanelle doesn't need another person who can kick butt. She needs an admin person. She needs, particularly if with her history and contract killing, etc., someone to handle the business. Like that's what what's his face is. Someone who handles the business side of things. Someone who gives her jobs, whatever. She doesn't need someone to fight because she's more than capable of that. She needs Leslie Knope from Parks and Rec.
It's an interesting pick.
I can tell that everyone is not on board, but I thought about this long and hard. Unlike the rest of you that came up with this in 30 minutes, I've spent hours on this pick and came up with this weeks ago. I am prepared.
There you go.
Prepared.
Alrighty. Everyone has drafted 4 times, so it is time for the bonus round.
Oh, I forgot we were doing that.
Yes, we are. So, the last category is location. Describe to us. Describe to us what location your third act climax will take place. This can be any location, both real or fictional, even if it has appeared in a Bond movie before.
Oh, even if it has appeared in a Bond movie.
So you can do it if it's been, like, for example, I'm not going to eliminate London as a location just because it's been in a Bond movie before. So, real or fictional, any location. In theory, it should fit with the story that you formulated already. And we're going in reverse order. So, Zach, you're up first.
Oh, thank God.
Dang it, Christian, why should you do this to me?
I need a minute.
Yeah.
No, I have a pretty good one,
Why?
actually.
Why?
Okay, so Batman and Foxy track down the Master running a secret organization out of Harlem in New York City.
Okay.
After a crazy fight, they eventually manage to overcome John. But the Master escapes through a side door, and they chase him into the side door, and there's a giant complex of interlocking doors and walkways and passageways inside. It's the inside of the Master's TARDIS. And that is where the final confrontation takes place. It's like Doctor Strange, where physics go upside down, and what is happening, and it's barely made possible with 70s technology. And somehow they get the TARDIS to move, so it crashes into the water. That's how they end up making out at a raft at the end. That is very important to me that happens, even if it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Makes sense. And I like the idea of like almost like Inception style moving around. But again, how would they would do that on a 70s budget? Who knows? But look at the giant sets they built for Moonraker and Spy Who Loved Me, also in the 70s. So I think, they could make it work.
Pushing the envelope is what James Bond does.
Alrighty, so Zach is done, and we're on to Carolyn.
Oh, it's me. So after it's found out that Winifred wants to steal eternal youth from the secret government building, she manages to steal it, and then she runs outside, and the Witcher and Hermione have to chase her and steal it back. So, and they run out.
This
I'm so
sucks.
upset. I came up with multiple things of what I thought it could be. I didn't think about weapon, but immediately, I had a thing. I thought it was going to be Q or M.
Yeah.
Oh, and I have great answers for those.
I don't know which one. Where was that? So yes, after the Winifred steals the secrets from the government building, she gets chased outside, and they run through fields. And then finally, they get to one particular field where the final battle goes down. And it's probably next to a cemetery, although I don't really know for sure. But the location is the baseball field from Twilight.
Wow. Wow.
Plus, A+.
Oh, God.
Wow is the only thing I could possibly think of for that.
Is it during a thunderstorm? Because I feel like we've only ever seen that location during a thunderstorm.
Yeah, that's true. You wouldn't. I don't know if you'd be able to distinguish it, but you would just know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'd be if thunderstorm was just about to begin, so they have to depart before the incoming threat of vampires are there to overcome both sides.
So you're
So they
basically
have
going
to-
full fantasy here.
Oh, man. I didn't see that coming.
So, but in the end, the Witcher manages to overtake Winifred. Olaf switches sides, and he returns the government secrets of eternal youth back to the facility before the vampires come, and they all have a drink at the bar, and all is well.
All right.
And now we go to Lance.
First off, damn you, Christian. Damn you to hell. Okay. I'm going to pull in my other realm of geekdom, and I am going to have my final climactic battle on the planet Mustafar.
Oh, all right.
Yes. You'll have a climactic sword fight between Lagertha and Killmonger.
Ooh.
And that would be epic. And while that's going on, Jack Ryan is, desperately trying to get to the control room where John Barrowman is, because all he wants to do is just melt the world. They have great dialogue between the two of them because they're both amazing actors. They're both great characters. And then John Krasinski, Jack Ryan, just shoots him, a la, the Hunt for Red October in the missile room.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And his one liner after he kills him is what?
No, wait. No.
Extra bonus.
I would
Extra
have
bonus.
him say something like, "Now that's a feather in my cap."
Oh no. I mean, it's got
No.
to be something about
I'm gonna have him.
fire or volcanoes, because look, they're on Mustafar.
What about something like, "Now that's a bullseye"? Get it?
Oh,
Because he uses arrows.
Oh,
No.
all right. I forget.
Yeah.
You're
No,
off the project.
no.
No.
Hollywood, here I come.
No. I think the one-liner would be.
Guess I have the high ground now.
All right,
That was
I'll
bad.
double damn you because actually I was going to come up with something no high ground related. So thanks for screwing me there too.
It's okay, Lance. You don't actually have to come up with a
No,
one-liner.
we
I'm
didn't-
just being
yeah, we-
difficult.
Although that would have been a good other
here,
thing to
I
spring
got
on
it.
you guys.
Yeah, I've got it.
I-
So after Jack Ryan, shoots Malcolm Merlin, he falls back into a pool of lava, a la Lord of the Rings style, and he looks down at him and goes, "You're fired."
It's
All
way
right.
better.
I like that.
That was fantastic.
And we come to last but not least, Sarah. What is your location?
So, as a refresher, I have Villanelle as my villain, Black Widow as my Bond, Kronk as my Bond girl, and Leslie Knope as Villanelle's organizer and keeper of kill lists. No, I'm not stalling. You're stalling. Leslie Knope is back at headquarters in like an underground lair. So I see this movie taking place throughout Europe. It takes an assassin to catch an assassin. So Black Widow is chasing Villanelle throughout Europe. I briefly thought about having the final scene in the Red Room, but I feel like we need a really iconic European scene, and we need it high up for sort of extra added dramatic tension. So I would like to pick the famous monument, the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, France,
All right.
as the
I-
location of my final climactic scene.
Yeah, the
top
final
of it?
showdown.
Yes, the final
Okay.
showdown on the tippity top.
How do they get there?
I
There's a
mean,
really
there's
long line of
stairs.
tourists.
You're gonna have to watch the movie and find out, Carolyn. Come on, can't give away everything.
They're all in line for the Eiffel Tower.
So apparently, there's an Arc de
okay.
Triomphe or a Arch of Triumph in Pyongyang.
Huh?
Yeah,
Interesting.
I was just looking up the Arc de Triomphe, and
Oh, yeah.
because I wanted to know how tall it was. It's 50 meters or 164 feet. So that's that's a sizable. If someone falls off that,
Yeah,
It's a
you're gonna
big-
die.
yeah.
So it's
All
not quite, holding on to space station or whatever it was you were worried about, Zach.
Yes, you're right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's grounded. It is the proper French symbol as opposed to the Eiffel Tower. So we have that going on.
Fair.
Notre Dame begs to differ.
Okay,
Aw.
all right. Notre Dame is fine. The
soon.
Eiffel Tower just gets
Yeah,
all
I know,
the
fair
love.
enough.
All the
I definitely thought you were going to say Eiffel Tower. I was like, no, Sarah's not that obvious.
love. I also thought about the London Eye in the span of the 30 seconds that I had to come up with it. But ultimately, I didn't want to see someone holding on to the side of a Ferris wheel.
Mhm.
I did imagine Leslie
Okay.
Knope being inside Big Ben, as the headquarters.
I can imagine her
Interesting.
being
Alright.
at the bottom of the London Eye and just looking up and taking notes as they're having an epic battle.
All right. Well, thank you all. Drafting is completed. It is now time for our final words, wherein our participants will pitch their team to the audience and explain why their team is most likely to be the best James Bond film ever. So we start again with Sarah.
Oh, good. I didn't prepare for this bit. So, in the best Bond movie of all time, we have Black Widow, starring in the movie that we. Oh no, this isn't going to sound good. I was going to say in the movie we wanted to see her as, but that makes it sound like her movie was bad. So we've been waiting
Okay.
a long time to see her in a movie. So we'll
Another
just
movie.
say that.
Another movie where she's great.
Okay, another movie. We've been waiting for more Black Widow. So we have Black Widow as Bond, as our assassin turned good. We have her opposing Villanelle, They're both smart, quippy, sassy, kick-ass women, and seeing the two of them battle off against each other, where they both really have the skills and the know-how and the willingness to take each other down, I think will be really interesting. So their sidekicks are a little bit more on the lighter side. Thus, Kronk as Black Widow's number 2, and Leslie Knope back at Villanelle's headquarters as sort of her organizer and keeper of kill lists. And that is my Bond movie.
Thank
And
you.
don't forget where your final fight is at.
Yes. So the movie itself takes place throughout Europe, various cute little European places as they throw knives at each other, and Kronk leans down to pick up a pie out of nowhere, and interesting backdrops to that. So for our final climactic scene, it makes sense to have it be in a very iconic European place. So the final battle, the face-off between Black Widow and Villanelle takes place on the tippity top of the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, France.
Alrighty.
Oui.
Lance, you're up next. Give us some hype.
The main things, the reasons why people go see James Bond movies are for the action and for the intrigue, for the swab, the debonair. And my film easily has all of those ingredients. You have none other than the other, I'd say probably second most famous spy of Jack Ryan.
Ethan Hunt begs to differ.
Don't go there. We'll argue about this later.
Yeah, Ethan Hunt's not a spy.
No.
Oh my God.
I'll just
Sorry, continue.
My feelings are hurt that you even put him in the same category as a spy. Oh
Lance,
my
don't
God.
let him hurt you.
Show me on this doll where Christian hurt me. Obviously, you have to have the Bond woman, but in this case, in keeping with the Daniel Craig Bond types, you have a very strong, very powerful, very almost independent character in Lagertha, played by Catherine Winnick from the Viking series. And if you've seen the show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. She's very badass. She's intelligent. She does amazing things with a sword. It's just fantastic. But you also have to have a very smart, very crafty, very believable villain. And this was probably the easiest one out of all the categories to come up with. And that was Malcolm Merlyn from Arrow, played by John Barrowman. He fits all the roles. He's mysterious. He's evil. But he's also kind of likable. And you're like, wow, that guy's a dick. But you know what? I'd hang out with him. And of course, to complete that, the whole evil team is none other than Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger from Black Panther. I mean, he just exudes badass. He's terrifying. He didn't even have to say a line the entire time. He just stares at you and you pee your pants automatically. Fight scenes between Lagertha and Killmonger, just would be epic to Anakin fighting Obi-Wan, which oddly enough, the climactic scene takes place on Mustafar. How they got there, you'll have to watch the movie to find out.
About to ask, Lance.
You got to keep some things a secret. You got to keep the mystery to get the fans involved.
All right, thank you, Lan. Carolyn, hype your movie.
Okay, well, I think I already pretty much hyped it. I mean, you've got what I would say the perfect Bond, The Witcher, and then you have the perfect chemistry with the Bond woman who would be, they'd team up together and just conquer the world. They would be really fun to watch the banter, and they'd be really good for each other too. And they'd both, pull out each other's strengths. And then on the villain side, we've got Winifred, who is, evil, trying to take over the world, trying to get it all, which is classic Bond villain. And then helping her is Olaf from Frozen, who I would just love to see those dynamics, and I'd love to see that on screen. So overall, we have a lot of good chemistry between the actors, between the characters. Still going to be a classic Bond movie where they've got martinis and lots of secret government buildings and government secrets and casinos.
Secret government things.
All the secret government
files.
things.
Another benefit, Carolyn, too, is that Winifred and Olaf can come together and sing about the boat.
Oh,
Like a Bond the
I
musical.
forgot to mention that. There will be an evil villain number between Winifred and Olaf before they exit the government building and run to the Twilight baseball field where they have to resolve the plot before the vampires come onto the field. And it's also, so my movie it's respectful of women and family friendly, but it's got everything you could want from a Bond film, and I can't see why you wouldn't want to watch it. So, in conclusion, that's my movie. Thank you very much.
All right, Zach, finish us here with your movie.
So my movie sells because you know what sells right now is nostalgia.
I thought you were going to say sex sells, and I was about to flip the table.
Nostalgia is really hot right now. James Bond's been around for a long time. He's gone through a lot of things. People love Adam West. Taken from us too soon. So we've got Adam West with his car. He's an older Batman. He's seen some stuff. He's gotten harder. He uses guns now. He kills people. He also teams up with Foxy Brown from the wrong side of town, but she's willing to fight for what's right and fight for her man, which in this case is James Bond. They have sweet karate fights with Ken Lo's character from Drunken Master. Nobody does it better than them, and all taking on the supernatural, the unknown. He has hypnotic powers. He has impossible technologies, and they don't know his name. They only know him as the Master. And just when you thought things were grounded in reality, things take a wild left turn, kind of like From Dusk Till Dawn. The laws of physics start to change, and who knows who will come out on top. And that is my James Bond movie. Thank you all for listening.
With the hashtag straight to video.
Ouch.
If you're looking for nostalgia, I'd say Kronk from Emperor's New Groove is probably where you want to go. Saying.
That's my nostalgia.
You can't get more nostalgic than Vikings.
That's a new show, isn't it? Well,
Yeah, but Vikings existed.
You mean like the concept of Vikings?
I mean like actual Vikings.
The idea of Vikings is nostalgic.
All right, thanks to our guest for joining us. We will have a poll up on Twitter, or you can vote by visiting bit.ly/007draft. We'll have the polls up for 1 week, so until October 12th. Please vote for your favorite of the Bond films we have created here today, so that our participants can claim all the fame, glory, and bragging rights due to them.
Whoop, whoop.
Do our guests have anything they'd like to promote, Sarah?
Hello, I'm Sarah. You can follow me for Geekitude and Feminist Propaganda at my Twitter handle, which is something I know off the top of my head.
It's at Sarah's actually. How do you not remember that?
Oh, I never remember if there's an is.
There is an is.
There is an is. Okay, great. You can find me on Twitter at Sarah is actually. You can also find me, perhaps more excitingly, on YouTube, also at Sarah is actually. I did know that one. To follow me around on my new Hawaii adventures. And fun fact, little plug, if you enjoy hanging out with Christian and Carolyn, you can see them in one of my recent videos. So if you enjoyed this, if you made it this far in the podcast, you will probably enjoy my YouTube. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Sarah is actually.
All right. Lance, you have anything you want to promote?
I do. As Christian can tell you, and anyone that follows my Facebook page or my Instagram account, you know that I am all about cats, in particular senior cats. Everyone loves pets, looking to adopt. May I suggest, instead of going with the cute kitten route, who is obviously easier going to find a home, adopt a senior cat, adopt a senior dog. A lot of times, these animals are given up late in life for a variety of reasons, and they need good homes. And so when you're looking to adopt an animal, consider a senior pet.
Thanks for that, Lance.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Lance is the real James Bond today.
That's right. My henchman is Big Kitty.
I'd watch that movie.
Carolyn, do you have anything you want to promote?
Yeah, I will stay on the animal route and promote. We recently got a pet. Her name is Daisy, and she has an Instagram. So I would like to promote her Instagram. It's Daisy Sky the Doodle. So that's daisy.sky.the.doodle to follow her cuteness and adventures.
And, Spy fans, she is named after a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
Is that spelled Sky like the thing you look at? SKY
No.
or is it SKYE?
SKYE, like the agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. All right. Thanks again to our guest for joining us. Once again, happy Global James Bond Day. As always, you can find us on social media at The Spy-Fi Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Until next time, I'm Christian.
And I'm Zach.
And we are The Spy-Fi Guys, signing off.
Thank you for listening to The Spy-Fi Guys. If you enjoyed our podcast, please be sure to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. The theme song from this podcast is Mistake the Getaway by Kevin MacLeod from Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. Films, books, and television shows reviewed by our podcast are the intellectual property of their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended.
This is a personal podcast. Any views, statements, or opinions expressed in this podcast are personal and belong solely to the participants. They do not represent those of people, institutions, or organizations that the participants may or may not be associated with in a professional or personal capacity unless explicitly stated. Any views or opinions are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, or individual.
You can find our podcast on social media at The Spy-Fi Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.